Good afternoon, everyone. We're just now getting started here. I will let everybody into the room. Welcome to our YouTube live channel, and we'll get started here in just a minute. Thank you very much.
Hello, Mark.
Hey, Cynthia.
How are you?
We are live on YouTube. Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay. I'm gonna let everybody in the room. So we're going to start welcoming everybody here to our session this afternoon. We'll give everybody a few minutes to join. And I have Dr. Cynthia Harper here with us today, and she and I are going to just chit chat with you today about 2025 and how to make sure you're good to go in this new year. And we're going to talk about some of the information, give you some information about some things that have been happening. And just get everybody in the room first. We are live on YouTube. This information will be recorded and it'll be available to you immediately after this session. Everybody gets started about 2:03 here. So welcome everyone. My name is Mark Knowles, and I'm one of the founders of Gov Directions. And we're glad you're here this afternoon, and we'll have others joining us. I just want to just give you some basic information. You're all mute when you first come into the room. If you can maintain the mute status until you have a question, it just helps everybody with background. This information is recorded. We're live on YouTube. The information will be available in the video immediately after the session. It's an immediate recording. So that if you do ask about recording as we go along, it'll say there will be a denial, but that is because it is recorded already. And I appreciate you taking the time. It's been about, I think about 30 to 45 minutes with you today. First of all, I just want to start by introducing Dr. Cynthia Harper, who is a frequent guest of ours. As she knows, she's one of my favorite people. And I'm glad she's here with us. And we're going to just chit chat with you about government contracting, how to present yourself in the right way. I'm going to answer some questions about that you might have as we enter into this year 2025. We're going to talk specifically about set aside programs because frankly that's all anyone's talking about today. It seems like so we're going to chit chat. I'm going to hopefully ease some concerns about it, and that's my goal, my objectives today. So how are you doing today, Cynthia?
I'm doing wonderful, Mark. I'm trying to keep my hair from being frizzy. So, that's my goal for right now. Is
Well, you're looking great. I think that everybody can agree with me. You're just dynamic, very
you,
dynamic.
you know,
So
amid everything that's going on, one thing that we got to do is we got to keep our spirits good, guys. And I think Mark, more than wanting to talk about anything, I just wanted to remind people that we are such great, resilient people. And it is such a blessing that we can come together and just have these conversations. And so, as I was teasing about my hair, the truth of the matter is, all the little things, we need to just have as much light conversation and then plow on and continue to do what we need to do and learn all we can so that we can collaborate, come together, and make a difference in this marketplace.
thank you for saying that, Cynthia. And I'll just share. You and I have been working together for a number of years, and
Mhm.
we see things come, we see things go, and we see new things come, and things pass away. But and I was thinking, I've been doing this personally since the late '80s. But at Gov
Yeah.
Directions, we started in 1998, and so we've seen new programs that have been launched, and you just always have to always think back and really look and see where the silver linings at in certain things. That's my approach at all things. Every time you see, I think, a problem, you should always look for the opportunity because it's always opportunity. I'm a big believer in opportunity. So even this past week, and you and I think we've been talking a little bit. I sometimes get a little deflated, but I had to sit back and think, man, where's the opportunity at? And then I started thinking about set aside specifically. and making sure everybody fully understands what they are. We're hearing other words that are being tossed around in a political environment, and then really also understand that we're really, as much as we want to stay out. Politics drives a lot of things, but it doesn't really drive procurement. We still have to sweep streets. I was just talking about street sweeper. We still have to clean the buildings. You still have to have all these services and supplies that governments are contracting you with, and what we are experiencing just basically potentially some changes in rules. A lot of times there's I was talking to my class in school the other day. I was like, these sometimes you see testing of rules. Things don't really change, but they'll approach them and they'll go back and forth in a conversation to see where they can go with something, and that's where the courts get involved and things of this nature. But I wanted just to give you a refresher in some of the details about set asides as we go along. How will you give with that today, Cynthia?
Absolutely. And I'm just putting a little thing here in the chat to ask people to place their name in the chat and what they do and where they're headquartered and how's the weather where you are. It's quite nice in Georgia today. How's the weather where everyone is today?
And Cynthia, you and I are based in the same place. It's really nice today. In fact, I'm gonna as soon as I get out of the session, I'm gonna go for a long walk. That's gonna be I think I might go for me about a 5 mile walk today. So I'm gonna get out there and get some exercise. It's such a nice day. But as we step into this, I wanted to talk, set asides themselves. What are the purpose for? These are contracting assistance programs, okay, that we have to assist contractors in some way. And at the federal level, they're basically administered by the Small Business Administration, and they're aimed at everyone and not specifically. They have different demographics that potentially can assist in different programs, but everybody can participate in them. So to make sure you're fully aware of that. And most of these are not impacted by some of the conversations that are going on. And not only that, but we're talking about different levels of government. I always go back to this one little screen that I have sometimes, and I'm going to show that to you real quick here under a tab. But I really like this. I found this map. Well, I did this a little bit of time ago, and it really kind of explains to you what you're faced with and all this. You're hearing a lot of buzz, literally a lot of discussion that's happening. Okay, because its whole marketplace itself is fragmented. It's not broken by any sense. We have 140,000 plus different government agencies, and they're all independent in some capacity. There's some relationship amongst them, but the governance of those, we have a very strong home rule philosophy in the United States. So if we see something different in California, then we're going to approach it that way in California. If we see something in Georgia, we're going to approach it the way we want to approach it in Georgia. You'll find that this to be the fabric of how we've governed ourselves. And those agencies, on average, they issue they issue about 5,000 bids and proposals every day. And I use a puzzle box just to kind of really show what that means. It's unwieldy sometimes. You open up that puzzle box, 1,000 pieces. Until you start putting together those end pieces, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to you. Okay. And that's what we try to do with our programs and with our services at GovDirections. It's to help you really put that puzzle together. So the first thing you need to understand is that there are set aside bids that are available to governments. And I'm going to share with you what was released just today alone. Okay, in just a minute as we go into this. But I'm going to introduce you to those set asides. And as a reminder, this is a different demographic showing you where all that government's at. All of them have potentially their own individual programs for you as a small business, a minority-owned business, a woman-owned business, and you'll find that those are individually governed. And then, of course, we have our national government that has the programs that are in place, but primarily our goals. And the Small Business Administration is charged for to follow that goals and make sure they're there. And, just as a background, very quickly, all those agencies themselves, they go out and they're procuring, and we tend to, a lot of times when we hear conversation, really it's just the federal programs. And then we forget about all of this other business that's out there. And that's a lot of business. In fact, there's probably about 20 local and state contracts for every one federal government contract once you get outside of the defense program. In the federal, there's these specific programs that are there that are available today still, not necessarily impacted at all, but they're there, and there are new companies going into them. The most prominent one is going to be the total small business. I'm not showing that because that's anything basically for businesses at a certain level. Every one are governed by individual definition or determination based on a NAICS code, but just generally, if you're almost all of us qualify for those. And then the second one is going to most likely be the veteran-owned small business or service disabled veteran-owned small business certification. And those are the two dominant ones that are really actively, there's a lot of listings. And then to some smaller extent, the woman-owned, economically disadvantaged woman-owned business is a really way back follow-up in terms of the number of actual bids issued every day. And then 8A are your primary ones that you see. We also have in the Department of Transportation that is administered by the individual states, this disadvantaged business enterprise programs that are still there and in place and governed by the individual states in their capacity that with their programs that they have. And then we have all of these other ones that are out there, and each of them govern, I should say all these others, but state, county, city certifications at different ones. For example, in DeKalb County, Georgia, where I'm at, I have a local small business enterprise certification. There might be potentially others that you have, LGBT certifications and so forth, all individually governed by the city or the county that you are, or you current that you operate within, still there. Contracted instruments and sales use those in order to reach out to the various businesses that potentially can qualify for those, but in general, all businesses. And we use these and they're defined in different ways. But the most common ones that you see when you're actually looking at bids that may potentially be tied to a set of sites, either going to be a solicitation of some sort or a combined synopsis. Occasionally, they'll do a source of salt or a pre-solicitation of some sort where they're trying to determine if there is a marketplace, specifically, for example, total small business or service disabled. You see that very frequently in various areas, just to determine if agencies or if there's actually a defined marketplace that can then govern those. And as a part of that, we have defined, and this I'll have this available, this particular slideshow a little bit later, the individual requirements for each of these programs, and that all governed by the Small Business Administration. If you haven't been there before, you can go to SBA.gov, and within SBA.gov, you'll find a section that deals with contracting assistance programs. Okay, and we want to tap into those to see the ones that potentially they can provide some assistance for you, contracting assistance. And here you will take a test to determine which of these really fits your company. All still there, all still operating. So I want to continue to reiterate that. We're hearing a lot of different conversation that potentially it's sometimes bloodstreams when I use that word occasionally. Okay?
And Mark, isn't it so now that these programs now you can get more than one
that's correct.
certification at one time. So
that is exactly correct.
Is the guideline. This is really the greatest time for any of us to cast our net with our certifications is now, because you can acquire multiple certifications at one time.
That's correct. And almost all of us, when you go through the SAM registration, System for Award Management, which you're required to do at the federal government level. Reminder, it has nothing to do with local and state per se, but at the federal government. And there you're automatically determined in that by the time you register if you're the total small business. And I told you I was going to kind of give you an idea of what the market actually looks like today in terms of bids. So there's raw data that's available to companies each day. And I'm a data, as Cynthia knows, I'm a really data freak. So I get out there and do a lot of data use, and I go and pay attention to all the numbers and all this other stuff. And I really enjoy it, to be honest with you. But I want to show you what I've found just today alone. Okay. And so I use something called FileMaker Pro, which is a desktop. A lot of us have database systems that we work with, but FileMaker Pro allows me to really go in and play with numbers real quickly. And here is just today alone. And I think the first one I pulled was, let's look at here, woman-owned small business that were released today. Okay, there's 26 new contracts in different industries all across the United States. If we step out, and I actually have total small business just today alone. Okay, here, all these are active now. I think here I've got 404 new ones today alone. Okay, these are set aside for total small business. Only total small business can bid on those. And as we step into these, as we look at the certified for women-owned business, this is small business and certified woman-owned business. Only those companies can bid on those. The other most common, I think I mentioned, is service disabled. A little bit larger, 57. Okay, it's not that much larger, but so you're seeing it's still strong, different types, and that's out of a total. Let's just see what was issued today as a whole. So 404 small business, 1,446 total today. Okay, so there's active listings every day. What is that about? 20% of those total small business. That's the goal that they try to get to each year. So they're right on top of that goal, and you can follow those. And of course, when you actually step into Gov Directions and RFP delivery, we help you sort those. Okay, so as I'm a big believer, the only source of knowledge is experience. We talk about experiential learning. Let's just step in there and see what's really out there today. Just a reminder, learning where to actually register at here at sba.gov, and then you can actually go to certify.sba.gov to actually start your process. I encourage you to do that. A lot of reasons. Okay. And so go ahead and get in the portals and see which ones you actually do qualify for. Okay. And they'll tell you that here you just tap onto them, see if you're in the hub zone, potentially veterans, mentor protege, all very simple step through the process. Okay. And then of course, in each state we have programs, and what you would want to do is search the type of program, the demographic that you really are seeking to work within, and your state name. Okay. And you'll find things like the Texas Hub program, historically underutilized businesses in Texas. And you want to step through and register there. It has nothing to do with federal government or federal government agencies. It's Texas only. Cities and counties in that area will work with that. But then, even when I step into like the city of Dallas or the city of Houston, Harris County, they'll have their own programs. Same thing here in Georgia, city of Atlanta. So you have to step down into the levels of government to find the various programs that you can use to your advantage. And I encourage you that. California, the small business, this is actually SB, and there are a lot of acronyms. Believe me, do you know all the acronyms, Cynthia? I get lost
Not
in a lot
all
of
them,
them.
but
Oh, no, it's just gosh.
there's a
But you
lot
can
of
look
them.
into them. I think this is disabled veteran business enterprise, SB small business,
Small business.
MBE minority business enterprise, MWBE minority woman business enterprise, LGBTE lesbian. I lose all the acronyms. Okay, and but they're to say, look and find the ones that fit your company, and then you will find that there's programs that are available that are out there. Okay, but by far, small business is the number one. Okay, and they really are actively seeking small businesses of all. Frankly, whenever they add on a certification, they actually limit themselves so much that they don't get any competition. So you're more likely to be more competitive as an organization in just going after a total small business. We found that to be the case. So watch for the small business just in general. And you can find other certified firms, almost all of these individual sites, to really go in there and partner and team with others that you might like to team with. Okay. Now, in RFP delivery, the good thing about our service is whenever you step into it, we allow you to filter. Okay. And as you come in, and you'll see all kinds of bids, 44,000 active ones now. And instead of, retreating in this area, we're actually expanding. Okay. And you will find now, not just federal designations, but you're able to go in and actually start searching by individual state levels. Okay. Certifications, designations. So just like California Small Business issue today, you can come in very quickly now and see which ones fit you just in California or Texas and others. And we're going to continue to try to enhance that process. There are there's multiple mechanisms to actually classify bids in the United States, but there's also probably, I would think, a good 200 different programs that are related to designated businesses in some way, and learning about all of them can be somewhat complicated. So you have combinations like Cynthia mentioned earlier. So I just wanted to give you this general overview and come to get together today in this 20 minutes already, and just chit chat with you and give you an opportunity to ask Dr. Harper and myself questions about this marketplace as a whole, and any questions that you might have. I haven't even looked to see if there are questions in the chat box, Cynthia, but why don't you say a few things if you don't mind? You're on mute.
I think we need to be aware. I want you all to look at the people that have listed their business. Is there anyone there that you could possibly partner with or team with and share things with. Sometimes when we take over a contract or win a contract, we have to be prepared financially and have the right space and things of that nature. And you might not have all of the necessary things available needed to take a contract or afford yourself $100,000 worth of income or $200,000 worth of income to take over a staffing contract. But you might have someone up here who's done that before that you need to chat with or partner with. Never hesitate when we do these functions to find you someone that you can possibly converse with or collaborate with. It's really difficult to start these projects by yourself if you've never done it before. And it would be like if you never built a home before and you tried to build one, because that's what you're doing with a business. You're building it from ground up in the government space. Find your bricklayers, find your window people, find your plumbers, find whoever you need to make your contract a success, because the business is available. And what we need to do is continue to team to win. Mark, how many people do you know are working with the Mentor Protege program, and how strong is Mentor Protege right now?
I honestly don't have that kind of level of statistic.
Okay.
But except that I know good people that guide individuals through that always, and that is a great program to be associated with. And you almost always, of course, end up with a contract to get it when you get accepted in that, and they just walk you through that. So it's one that if anyone qualifies for that, then they should really seek that out.
Absolutely. Well, I don't want to talk. I want to see if there's any questions that we can, because I know people have a lot of questions right now.
Any questions today?
Hi, Mark. This is Aria,
Yes.
and I'm from Eve Community ONC. So we are based in Massachusetts. So, see, we're a small, medium business size company actually. We do not have any certifications yet, but we're trying to get the MBE. But then, we have submitted a few bids. Right. So could you please tell us that how exactly, like I can see that you have shown us there was this SBA, I guess there was this one page when it says SBA, if I'm not sure about that, wherein we can go ahead and apply for these certifications. Could you please suggest me then what exactly the certifications we need to go for the government bids? What are the main certifications for us?
Sure. So I would tell you the same that I tell everyone been the last 15 years, it seems like. The first thing is you're good to go with bidding without a certification of any sort. Okay. There's a lot of opportunity every day that's issued without any requirement or certification at all. Okay. Now, so you don't wait. Okay. As you grow in a business and you grow in the sector, you add certifications. And you add as many as you can. There's not something that's necessarily been more beneficial than another. For example, if I was to go in and actually search for a woman-owned small business, for example, and related to staffing and recruiting, you really don't find bids for that with those two different specific certifications. Almost always, it's going to be some sort of just a general requirement, not tied to a certification. Now, within certain states, having those designations can give you some points, depending on what state you're in. Okay, so for example, in California, and I'm not sure about Massachusetts specifically, but California, if you're bidding in California and you've got if you're a certified small business there, then they'll give points to your bid. So all things being equal, then they may give preference. So those preferences can help you in most states. That's almost always at the state government level. Okay, not at the federal government. Okay, and I'm not sure if that's helping you at all. So what the short answer to your question is always apply for anything that you can qualify for. Just don't wait to receive that in order to bid. Okay. So if you're going to pursue business in New York, then you want to get certified in New York for the MBE or the MWBE. Okay. And as you had time. Now, I would not wait to bid in New York. Okay, I would go ahead and start bidding.
Right, got that. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much.
Okay.
We had a young lady here in Georgia just this past week who had built her company up with an 8A certification.
Mhm.
She just sold it for $1 billion. She's married to a gentleman from Georgia Tech, I think. And she just sold her 8A business for $1 billion. So when Mark was speaking about these certifications, she's worked for years. She's built up a good book of business. And now she's in a position where she can sell. Now, some people don't want to sell. But if that's a goal and an option for you, build up your business big, whether you're certified or not. But getting the certifications did not hurt her. Because as we know, an 8A certification has a 9-year matriculation period. And after that, it's no longer, you run out of the program. Well, right before she was time to exit the program, she's got enough book of business to exit out doing pretty well for herself. So.
And now, as we wait for more questions, I'll go back to that one question we just had too. When you're bidding, and oftentimes it's difficult to really get started in certain industries. And I've found that recruiting and staffing is one of those. It's firsthand, but it's difficult. So you gotta really, first of all, show up to those pre-bid meetings. Make sure you do that. Okay. The second thing is make sure that you've got some sort of, I always call them indicators of success, something that government is looking for that matches you. Okay. If you're not quite sure what yours are, list them. Start doing an exercise one day and just list all the things that are great about your company. What are you looking for a bid? It needs to be here. It needs to be within 200 miles where I'm at, whatever it is. Just list those indicators. And then when you get that RFP, make sure you got a good degree of match. And if you don't just be applying for all of them. It really is not a dark game. Okay. It really isn't. And you got to get a good match. You got to be to bid and really win. And I just encourage folks to do that. It's not about pricing always. Most times it's not about pricing at all. It's more that you've got a good match. Stacy?
Hi, yes, I was on in the very beginning and I had to step away for a second to take a call, but just wanted to find out if you are aware of any changes to the 8A program in lieu of all of the executive orders and changes. And you may have already mentioned that, but I'm curious to see how the program may be impacted. I'm at a point where I'm ready to apply and wish I would have got my paperwork in sooner, but I'm just wondering if I should move forward now or if I should wait, or any insight on that.
Cynthia, you want to take that question or do you want me to take that question?
Well, I want you to take it, but I do want to say to Stacy, apply, Stacy.
Of course.
Listen, apply. Go ahead and apply. There's no guarantees in any area of our lives.
That's exactly right. And I would just say, politics can be frustrating, okay? But that's really big up above here, and you don't necessarily, work 8A program is likely not going anywhere. Get in there, get in the door. And these are games, especially when you get a new president. I might eat these words. Sometimes they wrestle with Congress a little bit, and they're just going to see there'll be challenging laws and so forth. 8A is down to our level, and there's just going to be in place. I would go ahead and get that application in. And I don't, we get different politicians at different levels, but the person who's coming in to run the SBA, I think she's top notch. She actually has business experience, and I don't think she's a major changer of things like that. I know they've got other folks, so I don't let politics drive that so much. But the 8A program is a very popular program, and I just don't see it going anywhere. So I wouldn't. But there's no changes right now. Okay, that's
Okay.
a whole, yeah. And it's also, remember that you've heard these conversations, and they used words like DEI and things. This is not a DEI program. That's hiring, and this is a contracting assistance program, and it's in separate rules. So it's a little bit different. And pay attention to where those rules are at.
That up, because most people think 8A is a DE&I program, but it's not.
Yeah. So.
Just a note, because I know there's a lot of sensitivity and a lot of conversation just around DEI, and the way it's presented now is that it's such a bad thing. But DEI has always been an effort to just level the playing fields for people. It's never been a program to hire incompetent people. And for those of us that are of a
Absolutely.
minority position, it's hard to hear that, day in and day out, that DEI this and DEI that. I have 2 master's degrees. I've worked very hard,
Come
long
on now.
corporate experience, and to make it sound like it's such a bad thing when all it is to just make it so that I have an opportunity to compete. Doesn't mean you get the job. It just means you
No.
have an opportunity to compete, and you still have to compete. You still have to show up. You still have to, put your best foot forward. And I'm old. I grew up in the age where being good was not good enough. I was raised to be 10 times better than anybody I would potentially compete against. So I just put that out there because I know the world is constantly saying, hey, DEI, DEI, but it's not a bad thing. It never was intended to be a bad thing. And I am befuddled and baffled at how we even got to this place. But I appreciate you all for educating us on these different programs pertaining to our government contract and business. And it's greatly appreciated. And I hope no one thinks that this is a bad thing. It's a good thing, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Stacy. And I'll just point out, DEI programs are diversity programs, equity programs, belonging, equity action programs. These are just common bids too across the country. They're still active today. This might be the highest level we've seen in a while. We have a whole area, a whole business marketplace for these type of programs, and local and state governments are implementing them. And so we don't shy away from these things. This is government contracting. Once I think it's always the same too. Once you got politics high level, but once a decision has been made, and I've been around on that side where the decisions are back, the conversations get back and forth, and the whole sausage making. But once decision is made, that's where we focus in on our company and say, here are the programs, here are the projects out there, and you'll see those, and we present them to you the best way we can. Okay? Thank you. And with that said, we're at the 2:30 mark. We have these type services all the time. Darcel, how are you doing? Got a question?
Yes, I'm fine. I have a question. I don't know if I'm not doing it right or what I'm doing, because I'm finding contracts, which really is a little bit different than what I do, which we just ran up on a couple of them. So I'm wondering, should I subcontract with someone, or what do I need to do to be able to get in the door?
Sure. That's a great question, Darcel, and thank you for asking that. You're one of my favorite new clients, so Darcel and I go back and forth. And so just to say, yes, subcontract. We do this frequently, and you can't, most times, especially nowadays, the way we set up our firms, our operations, our businesses, we don't have everybody with all those resources inside our own company. So we have to reach out to others. And so sometimes it's just an association or affiliation of some sort. I was talking with somebody earlier who's doing work related to video production, and a part of that is drones. Now, most people don't have both those skill sets, so they have to go out and bring in the drone expert. Whether or not you do that as a subcontractor, and you subcontract a number of hours to them potentially, and make that a part of your bid as a subcontract, or you bring them in as an associate, is really kind of your decision and how you approach that. I often come in on projects as an associate, not necessarily as a subcontract. Whereas sometimes I go in and actually do projects where I hire somebody to do a survey for me or something, and that would be a subcontract. Okay? So it's just how you define it. A lot of times we do that, and we're required in certain states to bring in certain demographics of this business that a larger organization is trying to correct some past disadvantaged situation based on a local policy. And there you do that. You bring in a company, and you attest to that whenever you're actually going for the project. Does that help answer your question, Darcel?
Yes, sort of. Okay, so how would I actually subcontract, or exactly the way you were saying, bringing in someone? So I'm like, do I go after people? Do I kind of put myself out there with people that's already got contracts? Would I advertise it? I'm trying to see how actually would I really get into the door of actually, being able to do the business.
So a lot of times you'll find, for example, let me just go back to California. Okay, so California has typically has rule in place where they'll give you certain percentages or certain points whenever you use small business owners or you use some sort of service disabled or veteran, for example, and they'll give you points. So they'll give you a list of companies, and you come in and you basically take that list, and then you can contact them based on some sort of indicator that they have, like a NAICS code or NIGP commodity code or the United Nations standardization code, or just put it in there. I want somebody to come in. I think you're doing, if I remember correctly, you do education and training, but you might want to bring in somebody who does the video part or something like that. You just search for a video, and then they'll give you their designations, and you bring them in. That's how you approach them. You build a team. The other way is to go specifically to the Dynamic Small Business Search System, SBA.gov. Okay, and here what you would do. And let me just go to the search screen to start off that. But you could come in and say, listen, I'm in Michigan, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And I'm looking for somebody potentially that's it's self-certified, small disadvantage, or veteran-owned, whatever the demographic is. And I'm looking for them who can help me with video. Okay. And you search it and got me to me. Goodness. There we go. Zero there. Okay, take out the zero. Too many O's. Video. Oh. Okay. And they'll give me a list of companies that fit my profile search. And then I can contact them. And you also want to be in here if you're not. Okay, you got to check your company out. You can find yourself by your UEI. But it gives you some information here about those companies, so then you can tap into it and potentially go in and work with someone who has some sort of certification. For example, this is a woman-owned certified company back in 2022. And you can see if they got some experience. And certainly if they do, and they've got the certification, that's going to help you in your proposal. Only help. Okay.
Okay. I have a lot of certifications. I just still haven't been able to find any, to get myself in with any contracts. So.
Yeah. Now, only thing I would say, since I know you a little bit, you got to give yourself a little time too. And I'll tell this to everybody else. There's 5,000 bids every day issued, but a lot of times, depending on state you're in, and as I mentioned too, once you take out the Defense Department, it's about 20 to 1 in local and state bids to federal opportunities. So that's a lot of times driven by cycles of budgets. So like here in Georgia, the state's getting a new budget. It comes into place July 1. Everybody's really watching what that money is going to be spent on. They have a huge surplus, and so they're going to be spending money on new projects, but that doesn't come really until August, September, of whenever you actually see those bids, and they all come kind of at the same time. And so which state you're in, Texas starts around, their budgets are October usually, so you want to watch it. Now, if you're nationwide, it's going to be enough cycles that are out there that so it's constant. But if you're in one state that you're watching, it might be certain times of the year that you're seeing more listings than others. Okay, so you got to give yourself time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, because I'm familiar, but like I'm listed. Well, I guess I got a business in another state, but I'm not listed, I guess, on SAM in another state. And so I don't know. I guess you said it's
Okay.
just timing.
So we don't get confused. Sam, you can go ahead, Cynthia. Yeah, go
No,
ahead.
just tell her. You already have a rapport with her. Yeah. Sam's is, systems, the award, it's nationwide. So you don't have to re-register in another state as it relates to Sam's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
You just need other relationships, or Darcel, and that is to meet people that are whatever you're going after, that you know that they're the subject matter expert in that. You can trust them, you can team with them, put together the right team and agreement, and just keep going. And if you're writing the bids yourself, make sure that you're writing good bids. Your numbers are fair and equitable. Make sure that the work that you're offering is the work that you and your business associate or whatever can actually do. And then ask for what do you call it, Mark, once you've bidded and maybe things didn't work out? Can you tell us what happened that we did not get the bid? I forgot the proper name for that.
Yeah,
it's a
I said
debriefing.
A debriefing, yes.
Mhm.
very important.
Okay, so I just need to form relationships. I guess I'll have to get out here and try to form some relationships because don't nobody really know me besides people in my circle.
Yeah, and that's why we do these classes.
Mhm.
And that's why I ask people to place their names and where they're from, because we need to develop collaborative relationships so that we can change the trajectory of our winning versus losing. The more people you have with the more experience on your team, I used to think I could do this by myself, but I can't.
All
And
right.
so we need relationships.
I agree with that. I know I need relationships. That's why I'm like, Lord, do I need to move or what? But
Well, I would tell you that the certification process itself is I think sometimes the most value is the relationship building. Okay. And there you learn, you meet people, individuals, and that's also a good value for I forget the exact name that they call the technical assistance corporations that are on the campuses of some of the universities. You can look at the ones in your area. They're funded by the military. But they usually bring together audiences of individuals that you can then come and meet and talk with and get to know them. And also just go into general pre-bid meetings. Even when even if you're not even interested in the bid, just pop in, see what it's about. Okay.
Also, industry days are quite important. If you have, conferences that are taking place in industries that are hosting different conferences or bid proposal meetings, attend those. That's where you meet people with like-minded skills as well. It's really important.
Yeah, we have a whole section that's I've got a bad connection on the internet, but we have a whole section for industry days, and you can monitor those. But if you're at RFP delivery or at Gov Directions, you can go in and check in the one category where they're basically we refer to business events and matchmaking sessions, and you can see those industry days and more of those these days. And a way to get in there and really meet, understand. And a lot of times this is a great way for you to land your first contract, getting to know. They have sometimes these are smaller contracts that they can make a direct engagement with you on. Okay. So always follow those. These are fresh here every day. Okay.
thank you.
Any more questions today? I know I've had you for 45 minutes now. So I just want to say thank you for coming today. If you have any questions, as things are getting complicated, if you have any questions, you reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you the best way we can. And you will have information and contact us at our front page, but also we'll continue to maybe I'll try to do more of these sessions in the near future so we can stay on top of things together. Any final comments, Cynthia?
Nope. Keep your capability statements properly updated. If you add a new skill set, make sure your NAICS codes are properly listed. Make sure the phone numbers are right. And this is a good season to check up and rebrand and freshen up on your colors and things of that nature while we are kind of resetting and pivoting. Make sure that your capability statement looks good.
Yeah, and with that comment, I'll say that forge forward, keep going, because things don't change fast. I've been around a long time. As fast as you may think, because you see a lot of media stuff, but these bids are out there. They need people bidding on them. They need companies. This is work that's got to get done. They need new roof. These things are happening, and you got to get in there and bid. Okay, so keep bidding. Best of luck. Thank you. This will be available in our YouTube channel immediately after this session.
Are you still there, Mark?